What's going on, my broskiis? My name is Toadski, back again, here to bring you guys yet another One Piece Treasure Cruise video. And today, of course, we're here with the 5th and final day of the latest season of Grand Party. It's finally over, thankfully, and in this video we're just showing off once again, just using the same teams throughout the entire season. And despite the fact I really wasn't a big fan of the teams that I was able to build this season, I mean, it just kind of worked, and it's thanks to most of the community, or a large portion of the community, I feel, at this point. Yes, there are still people that are still opting to not change their teams, and I would highly advise those people to change their strategy, because the strategy that the community is trying to employ is working very well. When you're able to locate those individuals that are actually, abiding by the rules that we're trying to set in the community, it actually works very, very well. But there are still some individuals out there that are choosing not to do that, or are forgetting to do that. So I really hope that people are remembering to do that, especially at the end of a season, like at least on that 5th and final day. Do your matches, change your team, so it makes it easier for everyone. So yeah, that's what we're coming up against today. Although I will feel like that my opponent, I feel like they're trying to actually build a normal team here. So you see the Luffy and Yamato as the GP lead. Bit of a strange choice. I don't remember exactly how they charge their GP skill, and you can see that in the top there, they're not charging it very quickly, so I think it must be like power attacks or something like that. Just some sort of condition that makes it very difficult to charge that burst skill. Don't even remember what their burst skill even does. But luckily, I did know, this is like my 12th match, or it was the 13th game that you guys just saw, and I knew that, my opponent had a Dex team up front, so that made it a little bit easier using Dex versus, using Strength versus Dex, making it much easier. And then moving on to the second game, it was kind of just random. Wanted to conserve my burst skill, using a Kainu for the health cut, and then using the GP skill of Luffy to just completely decimate the opponent after, doing that health cut, and then the burst skill picking up the victory there, making it much easier to get through the opponents. So now jumping into our second game of today, we actually were able to locate a random team, and I kind of assumed it was going to be random due to the fact that, Fujitora is on the front line of the first team. Usually the very first unit on a team being a Rumble Rare Recruit, and especially it being Fuji, I kind of felt like it was a good chance of it being random. On the off chance that it wasn't, I just decided to use my int team against it. Luckily, it did end up being random, so it leads me to believe that the team that I will face after this will also be random, which is dope. So I'm loving that. Makes it a lot easier to go through your Grand Party games when you have people that are, following that strategy that we're trying to use, where everyone is able to change their GP teams. Really hope that Bandai do not find a way to patch this out, because this current strategy is just a really nice way to, get through Grand Party, because, Grand Party, with the way that it currently is, if you try and just play by the rules that Bandai set, it's really, really difficult to get 15 wins. Well, I wouldn't say it's like really, really difficult for an endgame player, but look, if you're a mid-level player, an early-level player, like a beginner, even if you're like pretty deep into the game, like you've been playing for a few years, it's still going to be really hard to reach those 15 victories. And I feel like individuals that say that Grand Party is a really easy game mode are just the people that spend thousands and thousands of dollars every single month on the game. And that definitely helps when you're able to have, a full team level 150 max investments. Yeah, it's going to be a lot easier for you to kill opponents, but not everyone has that same ideology, that same account that these other individuals have. So when those people are able to shift it around and make it so that everyone is able to get the job done, obviously is a good thing, because it's too difficult, especially when you can't even see what the opponent's teams even are. I always say this, Rumble is already kind of like a semi-RNG game mode, and then you're adding RNG and the fact that you don't know what you're facing. It's just kind of bullshit, honestly. So either way, here's match 2. We got the win. We move on to the final game. And then we move on to our final game today, going for that 15th victory. And you do see here that my opponent opted to have Bullet on the front line. And I knew this for sure, like I felt like 99% sure this was going to be a random team, because when you opt to go with a random team build, it will often put the characters with the highest stats at the top of the order. And I know that Bullet has really high HP and very high attack, so I felt like there was a pretty good chance at it being a random team. And then on the off chance that it wasn't, I used my quick team, because Bullet most often is used on strength teams, strength driven teams, whatever it may be. And luckily for us, it did actually end up being a random team. I thought I was getting a little scared though when you actually have a look at the second game of this match. I was a little frightened due to the random team that I came up against actually had some pretty solid units on it, and it actually kind of countered the team that I opted to choose, as I opted to use my strength team just to get a really good damage output against the opponent. However, my opponent with their random team comp actually ended up utilizing some pretty good characters that are quick. Characters like Rumble Rare Recruit Fujitora, I believe it was Quick Kaido, the one that just got his 6+, and Versus Akainu. So those are really annoying characters that I was kind of hoping to avoid by using a strength team, despite the fact that my opponent had those really good quick driven characters on their side of the team. We were, luckily, still able to pull out that victory. At the end of this clip is going to be me changing my GP team, showing you how I opt to do it this time around. I went for the auto strat, just clicking auto button, and then changing my GP lead to something that would show people that, hey, you know, this is not going to be a really difficult team. And I opted to select the Rumble Rare Recruit Kizaru as my GP leader, because people don't often use him on teams. So people may think it's a quick team, people may think it's a shooter team, but by clicking on a character that is basically never rarely used in Rumble meta, and especially if it's on the front line too, it just gives people a bit more credence in thinking that it's going to be a random squad. So that's the whole thinking that I have going into this, but that is going to wrap it up from me. Hopefully you enjoyed it, and hopefully all of you guys out there had really good luck in your Grand Party matches. But that is it for another month of Grand Party. We're going to be back next month, of course. Hopefully you enjoyed the video, and if you did, make sure to go ahead and leave a like. And if you want to stay up to date with all the content I post, including more One Piece Treasure Cruise content, make sure to hit the subscribe button down below. On that, guys, I'll see you guys within the next video.